The day started off in Lakeland, north of 10th Street, off of Ella Vista Street, for an incoming CSX M604 daily manifest traffic from Winston Yard up to Waycross, Georgia, with one engine today and a pretty sizable consist. After M604 cleared me here, near the I-4 bridge, I'd moved down to Interlochen Parkway to wait on incoming Amtrak PO40 and M453 and get surprised by a CSX local, L764, rushing back to Winston with a pretty sizable consist and a pretty fast speed of travel. Man, he was flying. Dang. Okay. Not even 5 minutes after I got here, Interlochen Parkway, I'm sitting in the truck and the crossings start going off, and yeah. Wow, he was moving through here. Well, that was an unexpected surprise. Now we just gotta wait for Amtrak. We got PO40 and then M453, and we'll see what happens later. With Amtrak PO40 calling the signal up ahead at descent to Lakeland, he shortly and swiftly passed through Interlochen Parkway before arriving at his next stop in downtown Lakeland before moving on to Tampa, then doubling back towards Lakeland, where we'll see him again later. My buddy Aaron Carter was up in the engineer seat of today's PO40, and it was definitely nice to see him. With PO40 cleared and arriving at Lakeland, he'd soon clear Lakeland connection, letting M453 leave and make his way towards Miami, with 2 CM44s and a Jeep 38-3 in the lead of a pretty decently long train, about 6,000 feet. I shouldn't have been setting up on the sidewalk here because of the shake, but I didn't really think about that until after the fact, so rather shaky, but pretty cool shot of M453 here at Interlochen Parkway.
Thank you, Brandon. You have a good day. I appreciate the help.
To end off the evening, we'd move towards South Winston at the Polk Parkway overpass to catch Amtrak PO40 once again, going back towards Lakeland before heading northbound towards Orlando, Palatka, Jacksonville, Savannah, Washington, D.C., then eventually Chicago, Illinois. After PO40, I'd pack up the equipment and leave, but I would be out the following day for a whole day of railfanning around Lakeland and Auburndale to see what I can see. Just after 7:30 a.m., I'm making my way westbound on I-4 near US 98 to head towards 10th Street and the Vitis Subdivision to see what I can see for the morning and throughout the day. I know there should be an M452 sitting there, so that's where I'll stop first. Turning south on the Kathleen Road with the Vitis Sub in the distance, I'd make my way towards 10th Street where there would be an M452 sitting at the siding with no crew at the moment. Just made it to 10th Street and we got 452. Don't know why he hasn't ended the train device on the front, but yeah, we got red signals on both tracks here at 10th Street. I'm not sure if there's a 457 coming or something. But yeah, we got 452 here. 3161 the lead, and I think like 3464 or 3436, I think, trailing. So I don't know if there's a crew in there or not. It looks like there is, but I'm gonna move up to Stokes and catch him here and maybe 457 as well. Well, we're here at the Stokes defect detector now set up and waiting, and we have that clear. For some reason, there's a clear going southbound now. When I first got set up, and like right before Jay actually had another speed restriction for 452, that signal was red. So I don't know if now there's a southbound in the picture, but the milepost that 452 gave him was different for this EC1 than the one earlier. And what it sounds like is that 452 is closer, I think. He said 855 before, which I'm pretty sure is 10th Street. Then he said another 85 something that wasn't 5. So I don't know. 452 could be moving, or there could be a southbound coming in that I just don't know about and haven't been hearing on the radio. I've only heard JA. I haven't picked up anything on the road channel from 452 or anything. So I mean, if something southbound does show up, then we can get set up, but I would prefer to be at 10th Street for 457, but this spot works okay, so if there is a southbound, then we'll just have to switch up our shot, but I guess let's wait and see. The weather is actually really nice this morning, so I don't mind waiting for a bit. After only waiting about 10 or 15 minutes, I'd hear the faint sound of locomotives in the distance and see the crossings going off, so I'd set up for this incoming mystery southbound, who I'd soon learn would be CSX L743, rock loads from Brown Sand, Georgia, down to Winston Yard. With 3 GEVOs in the lead, and not many miles to go, and about 530 axles.
Detector out.
Well, that explains why 452 hasn't shown up, and that also explains that clear signal. I was hearing for the past like 2 or 3 minutes like the sound of locomotives, but I kept looking and nothing was there, and then, you know, crossings start going off, and I thought it was going to be 457, but no, L743, who I knew was going to be running through here today, but I wonder if he's running ahead of 457 or something or not, but cool. So now I know if I hear the sound of locomotives, probably assume it's a train. Yeah, pretty good size though. Okay, next up should be 452, but I'll watch that signal. If it changes to something else southbound, then we'll know it's probably for M457. After waiting for 743 to pass him, M452 would get his signals to leave 10th Street. It would make its way up north towards Wildwood, Baldwin, and eventually Waycross, with CSXT 3161 in the lead, and a nice K5LA.
452 CSX 3161 northbound up. When you are. X detector, milepost 849.7. No defects. Repeat, no defects. Total axles 376. Detector out.
After M452, I figured it'd be a while until my next train here at Stokes, until I heard JA Dispatch talking to an R637, a symbol change and recrew for train CO40, up at Stokes Siding a few miles north of me. I would hear him talk to the road foreman of the I-4 bridge to get authority to cross. Then soon after, he'd pass here at Stokes with 3 engines and about 460 axles worth of coal for the Orlando Stanton power plant.
R63722, lead engine 3142, take on a copy on the Saigon Shell work limit on the Vitis Sub, ARA532, ARA543, man and equipment clear. Maximize ride speed for train southbound, over. 1941, repeat. Thank you, Ms. Clemens. See you in a few.
Post 849.7. No defects. Repeat, no defects. Total axles 462. Detector out.
R637, no defects, good axle count.
With R637 having to stop at Lakeland Junction for a few minutes because of some track work ahead that he didn't have authority through, I was able to make it to downtown Auburndale with about 2 minutes to spare just ahead of the 637 for one more shot here at the downtown city park.
R637, clear signal.
A few more trains will show up here in downtown Auburndale in this beautiful midday weather. Next up will be CSX train L772, a local turn from Winston Yard to Davenport, working Auburndale, then heading back to Winston, with a solo ES40DC in the lead. Next up in downtown Auburndale would be Amtrak PO41, the southbound Floridian, with two GE P42DCs in the lead in a pretty uncommon back-to-back configuration, similar to Auto Train. I zoomed the G85 in for a pretty cool shot of PO41, passing the old Seaboard Airline Depot here in downtown Auburndale.
Clear all the way Auburndale main track. South.
My last train in downtown Auburndale for the day would be Amtrak PO98, the northbound Silver Meteor with an ALC 42 Charger in the lead and an extra V-Liner and Amfleet coach at the back.
Clear south in Auburndale.
I'd soon leave downtown Auburndale after Amtrak 98, learning that M457, who I thought would go through here, was stopped in Lakeland with no crew and would probably be there until 9 p.m., so we weren't seeing him today. So I'd go and get lunch, and learn that Amtrak 91, or 41, was coming real close to Auburndale, so I set up near the cemetery on West Derby Avenue to catch him here. A pretty cool shot, with my buddy Aaron Carter in the engineer's seat of engine 139, with a pretty friendly horn show as well. After PO41, I was originally going to move down to Winter Haven to catch Amtrak PO97 and PO40, but after hearing and seeing an L764 waiting at Auburndale Connection for incoming PO97, I went back up to Derby Avenue at the massive 6-track crossing to catch them there. I arrived at the big 6-track crossing to see a medium approach medium signal at Auburndale Connection for Amtrak 97 and CSX L764 in the distance, waiting for 97 to clear him before moving on north to Winston. Soon enough, Amtrak 97 would be calling the signals in Auburndale and would soon pass me here, near Auburndale Connection, with his Phase 6 charger in the lead, with some overblow in the horn. Still a pretty cool shot, though. With PO97 now out of his way and the tracks in the clear, L764 can proceed north towards Winston with his ES44 in the lead. Pretty cool shot I've wanted to get for a while here, but never had the chance to until now. I moved back towards the A-line side of Derby Avenue to catch Amtrak P040, the northbound Floridian, with a Phase 7 P42 in the lead.
CSX detector, milepost 843.2, no defect. Repeat, no defect. Total axles 48. Detector out.
Arriving at Interlochen Parkway, I'd be greeted by this train, CSX Y220, a boxcar local yard switcher job from Winston Yard to Park Spur, a few miles east of downtown. Okay, just got here and we already have something. I'd wait for about 30 or 40 minutes after Y220 until Amtrak P040 returned, heading north on the A-line out of Lakeland towards Orlando, Jacksonville, and eventually Chicago, Illinois, with a fading sunset light behind him, creating a pretty cool scene. After P040, I'd hear the crew of CSX M453 telling JA that they're ready to leave and depart heading northbound on the A line, then south on the Auburndale sub towards Miami. I'd also hear IO-44 clearing Plant City, so since I wanted to catch him instead, I'd miss 453 and go up to 10th Street to get to IO-44 there. I'd soon arrive at 10th Street, where I'd see M457 stopped on the left and M453 on the right, making his way towards Miami. At the same time here at 10th Street, I'd see a limited clear signal on the same track as M453, which was for IO-44. I don't know how he got his signal up here since he was waiting at South Lakeland and couldn't go any further until 453 cleared him, but he had his signal up here anyways. Not sure how that works, but I guess it managed to happen. After about 20 minutes of waiting, M453 would finally clear up Lakeland Junction, letting IO-44 proceed northbound towards Vitis Junction, Wildwood, Baldwin, and eventually Duval Yard in Jacksonville. This was my last train of the trip, and probably my favorite one of the whole trip. So, here at 10th Street, in the fading evening light, here'd be CSX IO-44 with a solo CM-44 in the lead of a pretty long train. Well, long for IO-44 standards.